$75 grand fined by the NFL
Really?
for texting in the bench area during a preseason game.
Wow.
And the Eagles appealed and lost. And I asked the Eagles, is this right? Is this wrong? Like, before I write this, like,
Right.
I don't not trust Derek Gunn, but before I put out there that Big Dom got fined $75,000, and then I have to worry about him strangling me at the scouting combine next year. Not that he's ever strangled me or threatened to strangle.
No, but I'll help you, Big Dom.
But I
when
wanted
do
to be
it.
sure before I put it out there. And the Eagles were like, ask the league.
The NFL has officially denied the Eagles' $75,000 appeal over Big Dom's cell phone incident. It feels like another fine added to a growing list of distractions around the team for fans. But this isn't just about the money. Fines bring a level of scrutiny that touches team culture and how the Eagles are viewed across the league. It also raises a bigger question. How much do these off-field headlines influence the story of the season? Before diving into the roster moves and the Buccaneers matchup, let's unpack what this ruling means for Philadelphia. Right now, Dom DeSandro isn't just a familiar face on the Eagles' sideline. He's the team's head of security, a longtime figure trusted by players, coaches, and staff. That said, he's responsible for keeping the environment safe and letting football speak for itself. In actuality, he has become part of the team's identity. That's why the NFL's spotlight on him feels so heavy. The league has strict rules about electronics in restricted areas. Phones, tablets, and smartwatches aren't supposed to be used in game day zones unless cleared for medical purposes or specific operations. The concern is competitive advantage. No one wants live communication or outside data sneaking onto the field. The violation in question happened during the preseason. Big Dom was spotted with a cell phone in a prohibited area, and the league didn't let it slide. The result, a $75,000 fine and no relief on appeal.
$75 grand for
Right.
texting in the bench area during a preseason game.
That'll be interesting there.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
That's
that
a
will.
lot of money.
That's a lot of money. I would hope that Mr. Jeffrey Lurie would help out with that.
Technically, that's not supposed to happen.
I
All you
know.
got to do is give him a raise.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
there's a certain
yeah.
point
That's
where
a
you
tough
can't
one.
chase him around.
And sometimes I wonder with guys like that in a situation with the Big Dom, right? Just before we get to the Jets-Bucks game, like, is he texting the owner or the GMs or people
He
there,
is
like
the
doing
special advisor
if
to
he-
the
Well, if he's
GM.
doing duty for the Eagles too, I just go, man, if they're trying to like stay in the know right in the moment there.
This isn't the first time DeSandro has made headlines. Fans remember last season's clash with 49ers linebacker Dre Greenlaw. That scuffle led to a $100,000 fine and a league-imposed ban that kept him off the sideline for the remainder of the regular season. Even though players rallied around him, the NFL's decided that sideline behavior must stay professional and under control. So, what does all this mean beyond the fine itself? Well, the NFL is sending a message. Every team gets reminded that conduct rules extend beyond players. Coaches, staff, and security are all under the same microscope. It creates an awkward balance for Philadelphia. On one hand, Big Dom is beloved inside the organization. On the other hand, his presence continues to attract unwanted attention that pulls headlines away from the actual football. Instead of fans focusing on A.J. Brown's big plays or Jalen Carter's defensive impact, conversations drift back to sideline drama. That's the part that stings for the Eagles. The team's trying to sharpen its focus for a long season, but league discipline keeps steering the story elsewhere. Now, let's move from fines to football, because Week 4 brings genuine changes to the Eagles lineup. The biggest development is Nolan Smith landing on injured reserve. That opens a door for Azeez Ojulari, who now gets meaningful snaps in the rotation. Ojulari's mindset has been simple: do the job no matter the assignment. That's the kind of attitude you want when depth becomes tested for the Eagles. Edge rotation is critical, and his presence adds fresh legs to a demanding position.
There is one player who really stands out among the rest. It's Nolan Smith. He is definitely the most notable loss. Eagles were really relying on him this year 1 to year 2, after he was selected in the first round after the Eagles had taken Jalen Carter in the 2023 draft. He went from 1 sack in year 1 to 6.5 sacks in year 2. And then during that playoff and Super Bowl run last year, he was a bona fide star.
Another move worth watching is Xavier Gipson's arrival. He built a reputation as an early playmaker in New York, especially on special teams, and now has to adjust quickly to Philadelphia's offensive speed. Young receivers often struggle with timing at the pro level, but Gipson has already shown flashes of confidence. If he can translate that into live game situations, the Eagles might gain an unexpected spark. On the Buccaneers side, injuries create a very different picture. Mike Evans' status is uncertain after his recent setback. Without him, Tampa Bay's passing attack looks far less threatening. That puts added responsibility on Emeka Egbuka and Sterling Shepard, while Chris Godwin's possible return remains a storyline. For Philadelphia's defense, preparation changes if Evans sits out. Slay and the secondary won't have to lock in on a dominant WR1, but they'll need to stay sharp against a younger, quicker group. This combination of roster changes affects both sides of the ball. Ojulari's push into the defensive line rotation gives the Eagles more flexibility on pressure packages. Gipson's addition could influence special teams momentum or even quick hit offensive schemes. Meanwhile, Tampa's receiver shuffle forces Todd Bowles' staff to rethink passing rhythm and overall play calling balance. Overall, this week's matchup isn't just about stars, but about how depth charts hold up when injuries and roster moves change the script. When you step back, the combination of fines, injuries, and roster moves points to a bigger theme for this season: how well the Eagles can handle pressure that doesn't always come from opponents. The fine tied to Big Dom might look like a small note on paper. It's quite obvious that $75,000 won't change the Eagles' balance sheet. However, moments like these linger because they create narratives. Around the league, rivals and commentators are quick to connect these headlines with discipline and leadership. That's why fans feel this frustration. They'd rather see coverage about Jalen Hurts' efficiency or DeVonta Smith's route running than another conversation about sideline conduct.
I was gutting them at halftime when we did it. They should have. They thought it was a 4 o'clock kickoff. It was like, where's the team?
Yeah.
They flipped the script and away we go.
What won this for him in your view, Jaws?
Defense. I obviously got the ball to AJ and DeVonta started making plays. That was key, but I thought the defense started getting pressure, started making plays, started getting stopped, turning the football over, and now suddenly we controlled the second half.
For me, it was A.J. Brown. Oh, my God.
Amazing. We sat here and watched.
Yeah.
After that first half, didn't have a catch. I think he had 109 yards in the second half alone. Those 2 plays on the last drive, the 25-yard or the 20, so physical.
At the same time, roster adjustments show how fragile a season can be. Nolan Smith's injury creates an immediate hole, but Ojulari stepping up demonstrates why depth planning matters. Teams rarely get through a season with the same starting lineup, and the Eagles now face that reality earlier than expected. A season's success often depends on whether backups can turn into reliable contributors, not just temporary stand-ins. Then you have someone like Xavier Gipson entering the fold. He represents opportunity. Injuries create openings, and new players can change momentum if they seize the chance. Gipson's quickness on special teams or ability to stretch the field could influence close games, even if he isn't a featured starter right away. On the Buccaneers side, the possible absence of Mike Evans tells the same story. Teams build around stars, but depth decides whether they survive rough stretches. If Tampa Bay has to rely on younger receivers like Egbuka and Shepard, their season outlook changes. That means staying adaptable for Philadelphia's defense. That said, they should not assume a lighter workload just because a star may sit. The broader picture here is that every team in the NFL faces 2 opponents. One is those they play on Sundays, and the other is a constant stream of setbacks, injuries, and headlines that test their identity. These past few weeks have been a reminder for the Eagles that distractions don't disappear on their own. They demand physical and mental resilience. Coaches talk about controlling the controllables, and this is exactly what that phrase means in practice. You can't control how the league enforces rules or how injuries happen. What you can control is preparation, focus, and how quickly the next man steps into a bigger role. That's where Philadelphia's season will be judged, not in the headlines, but in how well the team adapts to everything surrounding them. The find is a story today. The injuries are a story this week. However, the bigger story is how the Eagles respond to them over the long stretch of the season. Before looking ahead to Tampa, let's rewind to the Eagles' last matchup. It was a game that reflected an atypical combination of promise and frustration, leaving fans with plenty to chew on. Starting with the positives, the defensive front delivered exactly what you expect from Philadelphia's identity. The pass rush consistently collapsed the pocket, which pushed hurried throws and limited clean reads for the opposing quarterback. When the offense took the field, the flow wasn't perfect, but there were stretches where it looked smooth. Jalen Hurts found rhythm in the short and mid-range passing game, hitting A.J. Brown at key moments to keep drives alive.
That's unheard of unless it's a Super Bowl, of course. And I thought they didn't take advantage of it, the Eagles offense, initially as much as they should have. Would you agree with that? Because they stuffed them up.
Yeah, I mean, I think they waited a little long to go to the passing game and throw it every down because that was their best hope in this game. Two quick notes here. This is the biggest comeback for the Eagles, down 19 in Philadelphia since 1988. They were down 20 points against the Cowboys and beat them 24-23 at the Vet. And it's their sixth biggest comeback in franchise history, down 19 points.
In the run game, DeAndre Swift and Kenneth Gainwell provided balance. That evidently helped Philadelphia avoid becoming too predictable. Sustained drives in the second and third quarters showed how effective the unit can be when execution holds. However, despite those strengths, the game exposed unignorable issues. The secondary struggled in major moments, particularly against double moves and deep crossers. Communication breakdowns left receivers open, and those lapses turned into chunk plays that swung momentum. Against better quarterbacks, those kinds of mistakes often lead directly to points, and it's an area Sean Desai and the staff will have circled on tape. Turnovers were another concern. A couple of risky throws and a costly fumble stalled drives that should have ended in points. That's the kind of detail that separates comfortable wins from nail-biters. Hurts's decision-making under pressure is usually a strength, but forcing throws late in progressions created unnecessary danger. In a competitive NFC, those possessions matter. Special teams also had mixed results. Coverage units gave up more return yardage than expected, putting the defense in tougher starting spots. A shanked punt didn't help either. Those hidden yards rarely get headlines, but they add up quickly, especially in tight games. The coaching staff plays up adjustments afterward and points to the need for tighter communication in the secondary and sharper ball security. Nick Sirianni pointed to discipline as a theme. Penalties and turnovers kept the opponent alive longer than they should have. Those details are non-negotiable for a team with Super Bowl aspirations. Fans left the game encouraged by flashes of dominance, but frustrated by the lack of consistency. So, what's the takeaway? Insiders suggest that the Eagles are capable of controlling games, but until they clean up coverage breakdowns and situational execution, they'll continue leaving opponents a window to fight back. This Sunday in Tampa, the Eagles meet the Buccaneers in a clash of unbeaten teams. Both stand at 3-0, and someone's perfect start ends here. The league spotlight is on, and insiders expect a game decided late rather than early. Odds makers currently give the Eagles a small edge around a field goal. Projection models show Philadelphia's win probability in the mid-50s to low 60s. That margin reflects respect for the Bucs' toughness and also acknowledges the Eagles' overall roster strength.
This is the game of the week. 3-0 versus 3-0, a 2024 rematch between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who booted their way to their third win.
This is for the win. McLaughlin's kick is right down the middle.
Taking on the Philadelphia Eagles, blocking a boot to take their third.
Has it blocked again? This time Jordan Davis, the big man, looks for the icing on one big cake. Eagles hang on.
The headline is Mike Evans' injury for Tampa Bay. He exited last week with a hamstring issue, and reports suggest he'll miss time. Without him, the Bucs receiver rotation looks very different. Baker Mayfield now has to lean on younger options like Emeka Egbuka and Sterling Shepard. Chris Godwin might return, but even with him, the offense lacks its primary mismatch threat. That moves pressure to the run game and Mayfield's decision-making. Philadelphia enters in a healthier position, though not without changes. Nolan Smith's move to injured reserve means Aziz Ojulari steps into a bigger role. Coaches trust his motor and versatility, and this week is his chance to prove it. On special teams and possibly in offensive packages, Xavier Gipson offers another layer. He's quick, explosive, and could change momentum with one well-timed play. The crucial matchups are straightforward. Eagles pass rush against Tampa's protection, and Philadelphia's secondary against a depleted but still capable receiver group. On the other side, Jalen Hurts will look to exploit favorable matchups for A.J. Brown, DeVonta Smith, and Dallas Goedert. Insiders lean toward a close Eagles win with predicted scores in the 24-21 range. They see this one staying close deep into the fourth, with execution and discipline making the difference. How do you feel about the NFL denying Big Dom's appeal? And in Tampa, do you believe Aziz Ojulari can step up and deliver when it matters most? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit like if you enjoyed the breakdown, and subscribe for more Eagles coverage every week.